Yeah. Welcome back to another weekly pregame show featuring yours truly, Tone DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports, and none other than Coach Marcus from Pro Fan Talk, former Eagles running back, Eagles alumni. Man, oh man, Marcus.
What's up?
Week 1 is in the books. Week 2, we're almost done, man.
Yes, sir.
Almost done.
Sir. Yes,
Sunday
sir.
was a hell of a day for football, man.
Tell me about it, man. And it looks like, let's knock on wood or whatever you got, that the injury bug is getting here early. You got to stay healthy. You got to stay healthy. You got to stay healthy. That is the most important thing. And now we got A.J. Brown down. There's been a lot of injuries. I saw what happened yesterday to Joe Mixon in Cincinnati. Hip drop tackle. Yeah. You know, that's happened. I've seen 2 injuries like that, but he came back in the game, so that's okay. But yeah, AJ was the only thing that shocked us. So, and I get worried about that because it's a hamstring, and hamstrings, man, sometimes they take a while, especially for receivers in skill positions. So
yeah, for sure. And I think that's why they're being as cautious as possible, right? I totally understand their their approach, because AJ's game is more power than finesse. He's a very physical player, very explosive, and you just don't want to put a guy like that out there, especially if he can risk further damage and it can really hurt your season on the back end. So take your lumps now. This is why you've made the moves you made, right? This is why you got Devontae Smith right there. This is why you traded for Jahan Dotson. This is why you signed Saquon Barkley. This is why you have Dallas Goedert, right? So when things like this happen, you have plenty of alternatives, plenty of options, right? But it's no mistake that AJ Brown is arguably the most dominant, the most complete football player on the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, just top to bottom, just like the way he plays the game, his value. We know what he means to Jalen Hurts. We know what he has meant to Jalen Hurts' overall development. But I think this is a great case study, right? This is a great moment for Jalen Hurts. A great moment for the city to be able to find out exactly, okay, what kind of Jalen Hurts are we going to get this year? If everything isn't perfect, right? What kind of Jalen Hurts are we going to get? And I think that's a real question everybody deserves answers to. But before we get too deep into that, right, make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to both YouTube channels. We are live on 2 YouTube channels. We are also live on Facebook and Twitch, but we are live on 2 YouTube channels. We are live on Pro Fan Talk, and we are live on Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the content. It means a lot to us. Goes a long way. Helps us build this this community and ecosystem that we're trying to nurture. So make sure you guys are on the right side of history. Me and Marcus are going to be giving you guys these pregame shows every week, either on game day or maybe a day before, depending on our schedule. But we're always going to give you guys a weekly show breaking down how we see the upcoming matchup, maybe some observations from the previous matchup. But regardless, though, this is a very fascinating game, because the Atlanta Falcons, their week 1 game was they left a lot to be desired.
Well, they left a lot of meat on the bone.
Yeah. They lost 18-10 to the Steelers, and their 10 points came in the first quarter. Other than that, the offense was pretty much anemic. They had a hard time sustaining drives, had a hard time getting in field goal range, had a hard time protecting the ball, had a hard time protecting the quarterback. Yes. Right? You sent me something earlier that was alarming to me. Give me your observations of the Atlanta Falcons. I know you watched a ton of their film today and leading up to this game. Give me your overall lay of the land as it pertains to the Atlanta Falcons.
The Atlanta Falcons look like the New York Giants with a better quarterback. That's it. Their offensive line is suspect, right? They got a couple issues. Their Kirk Cousins by default is better than Daniel Jones, right. But Kirk Cousins is rusty, and in my opinion, his mental is not over his injury yet. Whenever you get when you rehab a knee, when you rehab an ACL, popped Achilles, the body will heal. The mind has to tell itself it can go full speed, because you always had that hesitation because you're coming off an injury. And I don't think Kirk Cousins is there yet mentally. He might be 100%, but his body's not moving, and he's not the fastest dude in the world anyways. So he looked slow as molasses, trying to step up into the pocket, trying to get out of harm's way, and Pittsburgh just ate his lunch. Atlanta center, little suspect. I mentioned to you earlier on Twitter that I'm expecting Jalen Carter to eat, and their right tackle is a little bit suspect. So I want to see what our edge rushers can do. I'm declaring that this game has got to be a breakout game for Nolan Smith. This is the perfect game where his speed will come in handy. Even if he doesn't record a sack, he's got to get some pressures, man. He's got to be able to use his speed because Kirk Cousins cannot move. And the reason why I used the New York Giants as the comp, because look what we did with the Giants the last 2-3 years. They didn't have nothing, and it was all Saquon. We would stop him, and then bam, he'll bust off 30, 40 yarders, a big splash play.
Yes.
That's what Atlanta has right now because they don't have much going on, and then bam, Bijan Robinson, he'll get loose on you. So we got to be able to bottle him up, man. But I do not see us having a problem with Atlanta. And if we do have a problem with Atlanta, then maybe we got problems.
You said something that really stuck out to me more than anything, right? The mental hurdle that Kirk Cousins has to get over as it pertains to the Achilles injury that he dealt with last year, right? Pretty much missed the entire season last year, and somehow, some way, coming off of an Achilles injury, he managed to secure himself a 4-year, $180 million deal with the Falcons, $100 million guaranteed. And then they draft a quarterback in Michael Penix, who has his own fair share of injury history, who's 24 years old and likely won't be the starter until he's about maybe 27, 28, depending on how long Kirk Cousins plays out that contract.
Oh no!
So
Penix will play this year.
Wow, even with that contract being in being the situation with the Falcons,
I don't think Kirk Cousins is going to last a year.
Wow, it's funny because I look at it like this. Everything you said, I agree with 100%. I don't think Kirk Cousins is fully back mentally. Right. And I even will go as far to say that I think we're catching the Falcons at the perfect time.
Agreed.
Because I had the Falcons being the best team in their division. As of right now, it looks like the Saints are the best team in that division by leaps and bounds, which is the shocker, right? Listen to this though. And this is going to go right in line with what we're talking about as it pertains to Kirk Cousins' footwork and his ability to maneuver in the pocket, even when he was already a stationary quarterback already, right? But you still saw Kirk Cousins being, using the play action a lot and the bootlegs, and you saw him still being able to move in that box, right? In that game against the Steelers, the Atlanta Falcons game, not so much. Listen to this. According to ESPN Stats and Info, in week 1, the Atlanta Falcons ran their offense from either the shotgun or the pistol in 96% of their total offensive snaps. And let me take it a step further for you. The 22 shotgun snaps, out of that 96%, the 22 shotgun snaps were 100% pass plays. No runs were featured in the shotgun. In addition, the 22 snaps from the pistol saw Atlanta run the ball 81% of the time. They were flat out predictable in week 1.
Yep.
Now, if they're competent, I do expect them to shake some things up. I expect the Atlanta Falcons to overcorrect as much as possible, but I don't know how much you can overcorrect someone's mental limitations as it pertains to this injury. I really think Kirk Cousins is battling something right now. He doesn't look, I know he said, oh yeah, week 1 rust. It looks like much more than just that.
I agree. And here's another comp for you. Look at Brandon Ayuk in week 1. Sat out all camp. Give me my money, give me my money, give me my money. And then he drops 2 passes that hit him dead in the hands, 1 for a touchdown. It is something to be, there's something to be said for going into camp and going into a season sharp. Mm-hmm. You have been calloused. You have gone through the rigmaroles of camp, hitting the ground, getting popped a little bit. Your body gets used to that. And if you don't have that, you just are not sharp, period. Some guys can do that. but it doesn't look like these are two that can. Kirk Cousins in particular, I watched a couple plays where just him trying to step out of harm's way and step up in the pocket, he looked slow doing that. Like he is what he is. He's been a play action type quarterback. He's been in the stand in the pocket type guy. He's not known for his elusivity or anything like that. He knows exactly what he is, and he can't even do that to the right level right now.
Marcus, he's not even driving the ball. Like it's like he can't. He doesn't look like he trusts the ground he's walking on.
Yes, exactly.
Like I watched that game from beginning to end because I knew we played him. I mean, it was an early game. I didn't have to watch that game, but I watched it because we're going to play the Steelers at one point or at some point, and we had the Falcons the following week. So I'm like, okay, let me scout the competition. Let me just see what we dealing with here.
Yeah,
their defense. Okay, that's a different conversation because they're talented all over that defense. And you can make an argument there's talent on that offensive side, right? Kyle Pitts and Drake London, Bijan Robinson, right? Darnell Mooney, Ray McLeod. They got Kirk Cousins even. They got talent on the team overall. When you look at them on paper, you say to yourself, okay, this has to be a 10-win team at minimum. Like on paper, you see that. But he looks like he doesn't trust the ground he's walking on. He doesn't trust the stability. They had him in shotgun for a reason. They don't even trust him, or maybe he doesn't trust it, but whatever it is, they don't even trust him to turn his back to the defensive line to do a bootleg.
Watch this. Did Aaron Rodgers look that bad? Same injury?
I'll be fair. I didn't get a chance to really lock in on too many Jets games. But what did you see? What did you see from him?
Aaron Rodgers looked like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers' issues, it looks like he's not in sync with his offense yet.
So timing, basically.
But that's him learning his personnel. That has nothing to do with his physical ability. As far as him dropping back, taking off, and doing everything he needs to do at the quarterback position, Aaron Rodgers looked just fine. You can't say that about Kirk Cousins. And even if Kirk Cousins was 100% and we were not having this conversation, is Kirk Cousins somebody we really need to game plan? He doesn't scare me like that. Aaron Rodgers, maybe. Kirk Cousins missed one playoff win in his career.
He doesn't scare me. He doesn't scare me, but Kirk Cousins is somebody that can play the quarterback position. He can throw the ball, but he's somebody that you probably don't want to bet on him in big moments.
Right.
But he can. Kirk Cousins will give you 4,000 passing yards a year, 30 plus touchdowns. Completing about 65% of his passes. Like
Pause. Who on Atlanta is his Justin Jefferson?
I feel you. Justin Jefferson can make you look real good.
Exactly.
I feel that.
Exactly.
I feel that. That begs the question, right? Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson in the passing game, right? Even other guys, Darnell Mooney, Ray McLeod. Not only is he coming off of the injury, he really didn't participate too much in offseason activities because of the injury, meaning that the chemistry between all those guys is non-existent, damn near. So they got a new quarterback, new OC, new head coach, basically an entirely new offensive personnel, new offensive personnel added with the Ray McLeod and Darnell Mooney, right? You add those guys. Me personally, I'm not the biggest Drake London and Kyle Pitts fan. I'm just not. When I watch them play, I see guys that are solid, very solid. They will help you. They will help your team for sure. They're solid. But Drake London, if he was in Philadelphia, what is he, number 3?
Yeah.
And that's before the Jahan Dotson movie. We're going to talk about Jahan Dotson later on in the show for sure. But let's just say they didn't have Jahan Dotson. Drake London at best is a 3 in Philadelphia.
Correct.
Kyle Pitts, he's tight end number 2 in Philadelphia. Now, granted, Kyle Pitts has had a season that was better than any season Dallas Goedert has ever had in terms of yards, and that was when he had Matt Ryan his rookie year. But ever since then, it's kind of hard to judge these guys in Atlanta when they haven't had stable quarterback play over the past couple of years. And then you bring in Kirk Cousins, a guy, speaking of stable quarterback play, maybe not even standing on stable ground.
Exactly. And then you got to look at the standpoint from when you watching film, right? What have you seen? And this kind of goes back into I keep the opinions to myself until at least week 4.
Okay.
Right. What did they show you in week 1 against the Steelers when they lost to a team that didn't score a touchdown?
That part threw me.
What did they show you? Who stood out? Who stood out where you got to say, we got to worry about him?
Maybe
I know they got to say that about AJ Brown.
Yeah.
I know they got to say that about Saquon Barkley. Who on Atlanta's offense are we worried about? And right now, I'm saying, with the exception of Bijan, and again, I use that comp like Saquon was like, they didn't have anything else. So if Bijan gets bottled up, same situation a couple years ago, what we did to King Henry in Tennessee. If he gets bottled up, what do they have? I'll take my linebackers against their tight ends. I'll take our secondary against their starting wide receivers, because I don't see us having to game plan to stop them.
So are you saying essentially sell out and stop Bijan and let everybody else beat you?
Correct. Even Bijan to me is just like a playmaker. And that's why I use the example of the Giants, because when Saquon was still there, I made that joke, man. Tackle for loss, bam, 60-yard play. But that was few and far between. But he could burn you with it. Bijan to me is in that same boat, because I don't, after looking at the offensive line, and granted, I didn't watch a lot of film, but I watched enough of week 1, and I was like, oof, yeah, that right tackle. He had a very, very wide 6 technique on him. I mean, this dude was 2.5 bodies outside, and he still got past them.
Got past them. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, when you sent me that, I was like,
yeah,
damn, word.
And then your center got beat, and I'm like, oh yeah, Jalen. I'm expecting Jalen Carter to eat, because just the center does not look like, again, somebody that we should be worried about. And then what I like to do is I watch a lot of plays. I'm not looking for anybody specific. I get the end zone view, or I'll get the sideline view where you can get all 22, and then just watch the line of scrimmage. Don't watch the play. Watch the line of scrimmage. Is the defensive line driving the offense back, or is the offensive line getting movement? That's who's winning the line of scrimmage. And from what I saw, Pittsburgh was winning on the line of scrimmage. So that was making all the difference in the world.
So what do you say to someone who says, listen, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense was one of the best defenses in the league last year. They're clearly showing that they're still one of the best. TJ Watt and all those guys, right? Tough sledding. What do you say to those who says, well, this Eagles defense is still relatively unproven? How can we be so sure that they can take advantage of the weaknesses and limitations of Atlanta the same way the Steelers have?
Because we haven't had a ton of sacks doesn't mean we don't have guys making plays. And this is where you look at the individual matchups. And I like the matchup with Jalen Carter and Big Jordan Davis in the middle, because I think our size and his strength in particular, because Jalen Carter is ridiculously strong and quick. And I think if they have to double team Jalen, that's going to leave some people open. And then, of course, like I mentioned earlier, I want to see what this has got to be Nolan Smith's coming out party, because it's teed up for him. You just got to get home. At the very least, force Kirk Cousins out the pocket. So I'm expecting, if we can see this, and we fans watching the game, I know Vic Fangio's been looking at this. The guy can't move. So what do? You gotta stunt, you gotta twist, and force him to get out of pocket and move. Get him out of there so he is not
get him mobile. Force him to move.
Yeah,
and it doesn't seem like it takes much. That's the part about it, right? Which goes to your point. Hey, Nolan, this could be the game, right? Yes. Bryce Huff, especially. You spent $51 million on Bryce Huff, $34 million guaranteed, $17 million a season. You paying that man for sacks. Josh Sweat, all those guys I mentioned, they really struggled in the Brazil game. I partly put it on the field conditions.
The field conditions, absolutely.
It was really hard for those speed guys, especially the guys on the edge. It was really hard for those guys to really get that bend and plant their foot.
It was like the Super Bowl all over again.
Yeah, exactly. And now you go into a game where you're going to be at home. You're going to be in Philadelphia. You know the lay of the land. You know the grass. You know the energy. You know what to expect there, right? I think I would have to agree with you. I think this is a game where I look at Jalen Carter, I look at Nolan Smith, I look at all those guys in that defensive line. If you don't lead this game with at least 3 sacks between all of y'all, we got a problem. Yeah. That's my honest opinion. You should have, I don't care where they come from, but as far as the D-line go, between all of y'all, Bryce Huff, Joshua, Nolan Smith, BG, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Milton Williams, all those. If y'all can get 3 sacks between all of y'all in this game against that quarterback and offensive line, we have bigger issues on the defensive line front as a collective. Because maybe you look at the pieces and you say, okay, Jalen Carter, nice piece. Jordan Davis, nice piece. Okay, Bryce Huff, Josh Sweat, nice piece. Who are you as a unit? Because that's how we judging y'all to an extent. Who are y'all as a unit?
Right. And we still got to be cognizant of the fact that, like, hey, it might be a situation where it's like, you got to poke it a little bit and say, you know what, this cake ain't done. Put it back in the oven. So let's wait another couple weeks, because it might be a situation where, you got nothing, and all of a sudden the floodwaters open up. The floodgates open. So we'll see what he can do. I know, because it seems to me like the best thing that you should do is put the pressure on Kirk Cousins' right side, so he has to bail out to his left, because it's hard to run to your left and throw when you right-handed.
And then the fact that he doesn't have the stability he probably would like right now, and the trust in that Achilles, to expect him to bail to his left and then square up those hips and get that footwork, just being able to contort his body and turn, and just, it's not going to be an easy feat for somebody in his current situation.
No, and it's not going to be quick. And then how do you, if they're forcing you out of the pocket or they're getting to you with their speed, how do you counteract that? This is where the chess match comes in, and this is where I got to look at Vic Fangio, and this is why we got you here, because you can game plan this. Because now he's slow in the pocket. The only thing he can do is, okay, they got to have a game plan where they got to get rid of the ball quick. So that means short routes. That means he's trying to get the ball out of his hands super quick. Okay,
exactly, and that's the overcorrection. I think that's going to be the overcorrection. They're going to draw up a lot of quick stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a bunch of quick slants, a bunch of throws to the flat, throws to the running back to get Bijan. I think their goal was to get Bijan in space early.
Yeah, look for them to get Bijan on Nakobe. Nakobe might get tested tonight.
Now let me ask you this, right? Go ahead.
I was going to say, Nakobe's got to, as much as I love him, let's keep it 100. His coverage is average. It's okay. But when you're going up against somebody like Bijan, you got to be a little bit better than that. And if you can't hang with that, you got to be smart. So I believe that they're going to try to test Nakobe Dean tonight, especially in coverage. Zach Bond can do it, and Zach Bond can come off that edge. I'm expecting Zach Bond to eat a little bit tonight. So I'm expecting him and Nolan Smith, either he's going to force Kirk Cousins to Nolan Smith's side or vice versa. So I would think that Zach Bond would probably be, because Zach Bond's on our left, which is Kirk Cousins' right. So I would expect Zach Bond to get a little action tonight too. So, we'll see what happens. But like I was saying about Nakobe, man, now that is a chess piece you would have to move, because let's be real, how many linebackers are going to be able to hang with Bijan Robinson in space? So they're going to be trying to game plan that a little bit, but they can't go to that well too many times.
Right. And that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, like, how often can you really take advantage of something like that? And if you're Vic Fangio, how do you game plan around that? Right. If you know they're going to attack Nakobe Dean and, in the pass game with the running back, if you're Vic Fangio, how do you counteract that?
Well, once again, it depends on what our defensive line is doing.
Okay.
Because I saw some good penetration by Pittsburgh on a 3-man front,
which is crazy,
when they was running the 3-4. So crazy. If you getting pressure with 3 people, maybe you might send a linebacker or the end man on the line of scrimmage. If you getting that with 3 down linemen, what are they going to do with 4? And what happens if they drop somebody back? You still got a chink in the armor somewhere on that offensive line. And that's what as soon as Vic Fangio figures out who's the weak spot on that line, they're gonna keep attacking it. And based on what I saw, it's looking like that right tackle and the center. So if you're gonna attack that spot, because I figure Kirk Cousins is gonna be trying to go to his right so he can throw to his right, because I would just imagine this a little bit more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So that means, okay, Nolan Smith is going to be on the blind side.
Mm-hmm. Bryce Huff.
All right, yep. Nolan, we know you run the 4-4. Let's see it. Now's the time. So I want to see Vic Fangio move the pieces on the board. And I can imagine seeing some stunts and stuff like that, because they're going to have to run the ball at some point in time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like you were saying, because I heard them stats too, and I was like, ooh, everybody knows what's coming. Everybody knows what's coming. So they're in a bad situation right now. But it's only game 2. It's only week 2 for us and them.
Exactly.
So,
but that's why I say the overcorrection is going to come. Because they were so brazen about what their game plan was. I would expect them to try to flip that on its head in some kind of shape, way, or form. I try to think about how coaches try to get their quarterbacks easy completions, right? Most of the time you hear them say, most of the time you hear the quick game, or, okay, let's get the quarterback moving, right? Let's try to manufacture some passing lanes, some sight lanes, right? Let's try to manufacture that. Okay, let's get the offensive line moving in this direction. Let's cut the field in half. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins can't even move for you to really be able to do that.
It's bad.
So that only leaves you really in the shotgun, so he can have a larger purview of what's going on, and maybe have an additional split second to make a decision.
Right.
So
they're gonna test that theory too. They're gonna try to get him to do what we think he can't do. That's where we got to stop him.
So do you coach your DBs to play inside leverage, because they're gonna try to get the ball out quick, some quick slants.
Mm-hmm.
So you coach, listen, inside leverage until he proves he can drive that ball to the boundary.
Do what you normally do until he shows you he can beat you. Do what you normally do.
I like that.
Don't get complicated. The defense, I know that it was a high scoring game last week, but guess what? Our defense stopped Green Bay and Jordan Love in the red zone twice. So there's something to be said for that. So they did what they had to do when the time was right, because that could have been a different outcome if they get 14 instead of 6.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as I'm concerned, the other people on the other side of the ball get paid too, and our defense did what they were supposed to do when they had to do it. If you want to call it bend but don't break, so be it. All I know is they had 2 good opportunities to get 6 points, and they didn't. That's defense right there. So until Kirk Cousins shows that he can beat you, don't change anything. Go with your regular game plan. Don't get cute. Don't do nothing. Just do what you've been doing, because it worked. I don't see Atlanta scoring more points than Green Bay. I don't see that at all. And if we can handle Jordan Love, we can handle Kirk Cousins.
I agree.
That's how I got to look at it. Our defense is ready.
I agree. And that first game really gave the Eagles a ton of things to really take back to the drawing board and hash out. That's the kind of game you kind of want to an extent, right? I mean, you want to have a game where, look, if you can have a game where you put up over 30 points, you turn the ball over, and you still win the game, and you pretty much control the entire second half. Like if you can win a game like that and take that back to the drawing board, that's a good place to be in terms of just you didn't even play your best. And 34 points was dropped on your head top like that. You feel what I'm saying? So that goes a long way with me. You guys are tuned into the weekly pregame show featuring Coach Marcus from Pro Fan Talk and yours truly, Tone DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. Make sure you guys are smashing that like button. We are live. I repeat, we are live on 2 channels. We are live on Pro Fan Talk. Make sure you guys subscribe to my man Pro Fan Talk, a.k.a. Coach Marcus. I know what it is. Go lock in on my guy, giving you guys that legitimate football acumen. Make sure you guys lock in on Chalk It Up Sports. Smash that like button. Subscribe. I appreciate you guys. Let me get to these 2 super chats real quick, Marcus. Then we'll keep this train rolling. Shout out to my man Shep. with the $10 super chat. My OG, triple OG, holding it down.
Nice.
He said, Shalom, Tone. Fly Eagles fly. We eating good tonight. Hey, listen,
Yes,
man. Preheat the oven, man. Preheat the oven. We baking Falcons like a rotisserie. You feel me? Preheat it.
Thanks.
Cody with the $2 super chat. He says Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis should eat tonight. Go Birds. Yeah, absolutely. Cody, like that's and you're absolutely right. You're right on par with what we're talking about. This is a game, and thank you, Cody, for your $2 super chat. I really do appreciate you, brother. This is a game where it has to start from the inside out. Your interior has to collapse because it's collapsing the interior for a quarterback is like his worst nightmare, right? Mm-hmm. The edge, he could probably maneuver a little bit better, but if you collapse the interior, now you're forcing him off balance. He probably got to migrate to a side of the field he really don't want to. Now you're taking him out of his sight. You're taking him off his reads directly. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, they are the future of this offense. They are the future of this defensive line. You know, we talked about a lot of guys on the defensive line, right? Bryce Huff, Nolan Smith. A lot of these guys we hope are the now and the future. We talked about Nakobe Dean and the Zach Bond element, right? Let's transition to the DBs a little bit.
Okay.
Quinyon Mitchell, you think he plays outside or plays inside tonight?
What did he started outside last week, right?
Last week he was outside exclusively.
Don't change a thing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I'm with you on that 100%.
If it ain't broke, because I know we made some mistakes and, you know, both teams weren't at their best, but you know what? For everybody was talking about, you know, Jalen Hurts, he had the fumbling and 2 picks, right? Mm-hmm. And it should have been a 3rd pick, should have been a pick 6. And I was like, well, yeah, we should have had one too. That would have put the game out of reach. Nakobe Dean dropped it. Wasn't nobody in front of him.
Yeah.
Hit him in the hand. So everybody gets a turn with something like that. So if we even when I looked at the situation with CJ Gardner-Johnson, when he gave up that touchdown.
Yeah.
That was the perfect play for that defense. They were in cover 3. He's playing center field. He dropped back, and what he did was he immediately went to his right.
You're talking about the Jaden Reed touchdown, the 70-yard.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That was a great read by Love, and let me tell you why.
Yeah, and Love had to move in that pocket. He had to yes. You know, keep that play alive for that to even happen. So I give credit to the quarterback for sure, for keeping his eyes downfield.
But everybody's looking at CJ not making a tackle. But when you look at the play, he had a streak, and he had the guy coming on that deep cross. But what he was reading was CJ Gardner-Johnson. CJ Gardner, the reason why I say it was the perfect play for that defense is CJ Gardner-Johnson had to make a choice, and he made it. He started out to the right, which let the deep cross come right behind Nakobe Dean, too deep for Nakobe Dean to cover, and he was wide open. If CJ Gardner-Johnson comes over and takes that cross, then guess what? The streak is open. All he got to do is throw it to the guys inside. Because who was that over there? I don't know who was on the other side.
Was it Dobbs? Was it Wicks?
I'm talking about for the Eagles. Was it?
For the Eagles?
Yeah. Who was the other DB over there?
I think that was Blankenship.
It could have been whoever it was. The receiver was
because it looked like CJ didn't play it deep enough. That's what it looked like.
Well, no, he was. No, I think CJ was fine. Jordan Love just read it.
He just chose wrong.
That's why I say the route was perfect because you know what? I might try to bring that up so I can show it. When CJ Gardner-Johnson goes to his right, he stops and comes back left, but he had already committed. But what I'm saying is, if he would have came left and hit the guy that scored the touchdown, if he would have covered him, the guy going on a deep streak would have been open. Jordan Love, all he had to do, it was our DB, the receiver, and the hash. All he would have had to do was throw it down the hash to his inside, wide open. So that was the perfect play, and he read CJ Gardner-Johnson perfectly. When CJ Gardner-Johnson tried to adjust and go back, he slips. That's all everybody saw. He recognized what had happened. He already knew he had screwed up. Well, no, he didn't screw up.
He made a decision.
He made a decision. Jordan Love made the right read, and he was trying to come back and make the tackle. And when he slipped, he couldn't get there in time.
You know what's funny? On 2 of their biggest plays, by the two of their touchdowns, two of their first touchdowns, both by Jaden Reed, who had an amazing game. Jaden Reed, it seemed like the Packers and for those plays to work, they had to be perfect. Like the Jaden Reed jet sweep touchdown. Yes. The blocking on, I think you said that to me actually. The blocking on it was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
If one guy doesn't make his block, that's not a touchdown.
Right.
And they were perfect on that singular play. The Jaden Reed touchdown, the 7+ yard touchdown, they had to be perfect. He had to make the perfect read in that moment. That speaks to the predicament that the Philadelphia Eagles kind of created for them during that game. The fact that Jordan Love, I mean, he was inefficient in that game. So then you bring that over to this Atlanta Falcons game, right? This Philadelphia Eagles team is a week better, a week more experienced with each other.
Rested.
They're rested, coming off 10 days rest. I think the Falcons are coming off 8 days rest. What do you think their plan is for the slot? Last game, Avonte Maddox did not look good. He struggled really bad. And I tried to throw him a little bit of bail because they had him practicing and training at safety all year, or all season rather. I tried to throw him some bail in that regard, but you played nickel primarily for the Philadelphia Eagles. It just seemed like that was beyond just, okay, I didn't, I wasn't playing nickel all summer or whatever. That just looked like somebody that couldn't hack it. So let me ask you again, like, what direction do you think they're going for the nickel? Are you rolling the dice on Cooper DeJean? What's your approach to this? Because me, just to unload the deck here, I'm rolling with Cooper DeJean. I'm rolling. I'm taking that calculated risk. I'm letting my young boys cook, and I'm dealing with it now. So by the time we get deeper in the season, my young boys know what's coming.
I don't mind Cooper DeJean. And you still got Isaiah Rodgers is going to be around. So you've got a little flexibility to move some people around, but I would go with DeJean. It's time. Now's the perfect time. You already know that Kirk Cousins is suffering. And bait him. Put the rookie out there. Guess where he going to? Guess where they're going to attack? If they, any offense worth their salt. You see a rookie on the field, go after him. You can kind of set some things up in that regard as well. So again, whatever they want to do, because to me, it's on Atlanta to show they can beat the Eagles at home on Monday night. I don't think they're ready for it. I think we have the better team. I definitely think we had a better defense. And we've got more weapons on both sides of the ball. So again, they don't have to do anything different. What's going on, Aussie Johnny? Checking in from Australia.
Hey.
They don't have to do anything different, man. Just do what you've been doing and see if they can beat you. If something's not working, then you adjust. But they ain't got to reinvent the wheel. I think Vic Fangio, this is week 2. Next week is where you're going to see some changes, because now we got film. Now we got 2 games worth of film. Now we start seeing tendencies. Now we start seeing tells. Now we start seeing patterns. Not quite there yet. So now
what's a trend for you? 3 games, 4 games? What's a trend for you? For me, a trend is 3 games for me.
Yeah, I say 3 games because
a trend starts at 3 games, rather. A trend starts at 3 games.
Right. You should be able to see trends and patterns at game 3, because you're looking at the first 2 games. And how did those first 2 games go? Was the offense just rolling? Did the offense get off 50-something plays? Did they run? Did they throw the ball 40-something times? You start to see stuff like that, and what they like to do and what they don't like to do. Prime example is of what we're talking about with Kirk Cousins. So after this week or going into next week, you'll be able to really see the game plans really get locked up, because now you're going to know, did nobody expect New Orleans to do what they did? So now everybody's on notice, and everybody going to go back and watch that Dallas game. So what can we tell about New Orleans? Because New Orleans ain't no pushover no more. Now they playing, Dallas is not. So you're going to look at it from both sides. We're going to be looking at that New Orleans games when it comes time to play Big D. So now we're just getting everything on tape, so you can go through film study and make the right reads. But again, Vic Fangio, keep doing what you're doing. Until Kirk Cousins shows me that he can beat us, I think we'll be fine.
I feel that. Make sure you guys smash the like button. Make sure you guys stay locked in. You're tuned into the Eagles versus Falcons pregame show, the Week 2 pregame show featuring my man, Coach Marcus from Pro Fan Talk. Make sure you guys go subscribe to his channel, and also featuring myself, Tone DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge to the game. Make sure you guys continue to stay locked in. The show only gets better. Marcus, I got to ask you this, right? Let's get to the offensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
The elephant in the room. A.J. Brown's not playing tonight.
Nope.
Throughout the week, a lot of us were like, he'll play. They're just being precautious this week. You know, he doesn't have to practice but so much.
Right.
And then the closer you got to game day, the more the less practice time that man was getting. And it was announced, I believe, yesterday or the day before that he's out officially for this game. What do you think will be the Philadelphia Eagles' approach in compensating for the loss of A.J. Brown this week?
I think Dallas Goedert is going to be the difference. I think they're still going to do the same thing. Once again, they have to prove that they can stop Saquon in our offensive line. Again, when you watch the game, watch that line of scrimmage. Who's getting off the ball better? Is it the offensive line? Are we getting movement, or is the defensive line pushing us back? And I'm not seeing that Atlanta's defensive line should be able to push our offensive line backwards. I don't see that happening. Now, they might get in on a couple plays and get some TFLs or something like that, but for the most part, we should be able to handle that defensive line and control the line of scrimmage. And if that happens, it should be Saquon left and Saquon right until they prove that they can stop it. And then, by the way, you forgot about the Slim Reaper back there. Y'all go ahead and do that if you want to. Everybody else that's tried, it's been bad for business. So you can go ahead and try to double them and do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say Dallas Goedert, because they're going to try to put the pressure on Devontae Smith because they're thinking that you ain't got nowhere else to go. Jahan Dotson, now if you got a chip on your shoulder, now's the time to show it. Are you still worthy of that number 1 pick? Can you still call yourself that? Now's the time to show it. So he's got a little bit of extra to put on it this week because now he's looking at all of the people in Washington that doubted him.
This is the game. This is the
game. This is the game. And this is weird to even say it like this, but all you got to do is be better than Quez Watkins.
Yo, I'm so glad you said that. I was live earlier, right? And I heard people like kind of trying to down Jahan Dotson, right? Eagles fans. And my mindset was, hold on, wait.
Pause.
Y'all need to check your egos right now because not too long ago, we were dealing with a man by the name of Quez Watkins.
Yes, sir.
Not too long ago, we were subjected to a man by the name of Jalen Reagor, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, the inconsistencies of Travis Fulgham, the lack of motivation by a John Hightower. Y'all need to check y'all perspectives here because none of those players have had a season like a Jahan Dotson. None of those players have even had a game like a Jahan Dotson has had throughout his career. You feel what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
If Jahan Dotson is my third option in this offense and he elevates to my, let me not say third option, but if Jahan Dotson goes from being my 5th or 6th option in this offense from being maybe my 4th or 5th option, come on now. Because best believe this offense, the pecking order now becomes Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley, Jahan Dotson, and that's the pass game. That's just the pass game. And maybe you want to put Jalen Hurts running ahead of throwing the ball to Jahan Dotson.
Exactly.
But I think this is a game where Jahan Dotson, I think Jahan Dotson leaves this game with maybe 6 targets, 5 catches, something like that. 6 targets.
I was gonna say 4.
4,
but it'll depend on what they do with him.
Yeah. And again, people tried to say he looked lost last week. Well, for a guy who just got there a week before, the team had to fly to Brazil, so he really didn't get that much grass time. He still learning the playbook. I mean, he did exactly what he was supposed to do. He was a decoy. They used him in motion a lot. He only had like 1 target, and it was exactly. and the target was the near pick 6, right? That Jalen should never threw the ball,
right?
And Jahan didn't know the ball was coming to him. And he had no training camp, so it's just You gotta take it. You gotta take it with a grain of salt and just look at it from the perspective of you got a guy now in Jahan Dotson who's capable of playing outside and inside. He's not just a slot corner. He's not just a guy that you just brought in to play. He can play the outside. He spent primarily his career playing outside. I think if I had to give you a arbitrary percentage, because it is somewhere, it's documented. I think he played roughly 64% of his snaps on the outside in his career and 36% on the inside, something like that. So he can give you both.
Exactly. He can give you both. And if push come to shove, let's just say he don't know the offense. You can always tell him to run a slant.
Simple's that. A slant.
You can always do that. So it's hard to guard even when you know what's coming. So put him in motion. And this is where you say, I trust Kellen Moore. It's not like Kellen Moore hasn't been through a situation.
That's another thing. You got Kellen Moore as your play caller now. Like, this is a different situation, right? I would be concerned about the last year Eagles offense, right? In this situation. I trust Kellen Moore's ability to put these guys in position.
Yeah. And people forget about that when you're talking about coaches. Knowing your personnel. Understanding that, you know what, you might not do a lot of good things, but you do one thing well. You got one job. Bill Parcells was masterful at that. Bringing guys in, and there's no way that he can beat a top flight defensive back or something. You know what, this kid can do one thing well, and that's what I'm going to do. So Kellen Moore has that type of intelligence. Mm-hmm. It's not like this is the first time he's had somebody new and hasn't had time with his offense. He can adjust. He knows how to handle that. And then at the end of the day, your default is, Jalen, if something break down, take off. Now slide, because I don't want to see you with, don't get no tour. Just slide, get out of bounds. We don't need you hurt. But the one thing that Jalen has done is play smart. Kellen Moore understands what he has. And I don't think that he's going to put Jahan Dotson in the situation that he can't handle. And I don't think there's too many situations that Jahan Dotson can't handle because he's a veteran. Mm-hmm. He's seen some stuff. And guess what? He's in a better situation too. And it all goes back to having that chip on the shoulder because he wants to be able to look at Washington and say, yeah, you should have thought twice. Should have thought twice about letting me go.
And best believe he's definitely trying to leverage his time here so he can get a much more lucrative contract after the rookie deal ends. That's just so he understands what's at stake here. Another quick update. The Eagles have elevated offensive lineman Nick Gates to the active roster to be their backup center. Also, they've elevated receiver Paris Campbell and tight end EJ Jenkins.
Nice.
So Patrick Johnson was also waived. So yeah, they waived Patrick Johnson. That tells me that Jalen Hunt may be active today.
Yeah. On the flip side of that, Atlanta is suffering at linebacker. Nate Landman, they just put him on IR. So now you got Ellis Anderson and JD Bertrand. I'm not sure. Was Judon hurt?
No, he played last week.
He played last week? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I must have been.
I think he had a sack last week too. He played last week.
Yeah, I believe he had a sack or half a sack or something.
Something like that. But that land defense has got some players on it. I mean, this can't be a game where you're reckless with the ball, Jalen Hurts, right? You got Justin Simmons back there lurking. You got Jesse Bates lurking. You got AJ Terrell back there lurking. This can't be a game where you're just reckless with the ball. I don't think he has to be reckless at all. Like,
it should never be reckless.
Like this is a game where I'm sorry, the Saquon Barkley effect is very real. Like what he gives you in the passing game is borderline number 2 receiver-esque. Right, like the instincts, the ability to run the routes, the ability to go up and get the ball at the high point. I mean, seeing him catch that wheel route and the way he contorted his body and jumped up and still got his feet in bounds, that's receiver shit. You feel what I'm saying? So that's another guy you have to account for. Yes, AJ Brown's not here. He's a walking mismatch. But also, Dallas Goedert is a walking mismatch. Saquon Barkley is a walking mismatch. Devontae Smith, don't sleep on him. He'll run through you if you let him. Absolutely. He's a very physical receiver, believe it or not. You know what I'm saying?
Judon is not covering Saquon.
Judon has one job: rush the quarterback.
So who and I'm trying to look at that line because they are struggling at linebacker. They got the same problem we had last year at linebacker. They got Caden Ellis, Troy Anderson, and a 5th-round rookie, JD Bertrand, who played 23 special team snaps last week. So they're moving people up from the practice squad because they got to fill slots. So again, you're going to have people on their defense that don't have a lot of play time, which works in our favor. Because if you got somebody that hasn't been on the field that much and he's on Saquon's side and you're the linebacker and you got the running back, you got problems.
Mm-hmm.
And we should be able to identify that pretty easy. Again, I don't see anybody on that defense I should be scared of.
You know, another thing about this offense, Kellen Moore made it very clear that he is not afraid to utilize all three of his running backs on any given play. Like there was a moment where he had Saquon and Shipley, I think, in the back, or Saquon and Gainwell in the backfield. I think he had Shipley lined up wide, and it was the personnel grouping was like, as a defensive player, I don't know what's coming.
Right,
I just don't, and I think we're going to see a lot of Kenny Gainwell, a lot of Will Shipley tonight, just using them in various ways, lining up at wide receiver. Like we have three running backs who legitimately can catch the ball from the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're without AJ Brown, but you have so many people who can catch the ball and do something with it. I know Gainwell didn't have too many touches last week, but one play that stood out to me was when he caught the ball in the flat from Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts doesn't throw to running backs like that throughout his career. He threw to the running back a few times in that game last week. He hit Kenny Gainwell in the backfield. Kenny Gainwell made two guys miss.
Yep.
You feel what I'm saying? Running with power, balance. So
he makes the most out of his opportunities.
Made the most out of his opportunity. Got you a key first down, a big one in the red zone. So it's just, yeah, AJ Brown, him not being there does change or alter what you want to accomplish to an extent. But I look at this team and I say to myself, they're still one of the best offenses personnel-wise that you can find in football.
Absolutely. And who on their defense would you say, you know what? That person is going to be able to shut Jahan Dotson down.
That's a good point. Maybe, and I guess it depends on what they're trying to do, because I wouldn't be surprised if they put AJ Terrell on Devontae. But I don't know if does Atlanta play a lot of zone? Do they play a lot of man? I'm not entirely sure about that, but I have a hard time believing that they'll travel. I don't see that coming. It's rare you see guys traveling these days because a lot of the time they play in zone anyway. But let me ask you this, right? Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's funny you mentioned traveling because I was just thinking how Kellen Moore, we're using motion.
You can travel all you want. It's going to the motion is going to neutralize that to an extent.
Correct.
He's going to find the matchups.
If we go in motion, you got to give up your coverage. You got to give up your coverage if we go in motion.
You got to.
That's the beauty of it.
Wow. So let me ask you this then, right? And we've been live for about 54 minutes. We got about 5 or 6 minutes left in the show, you guys. Make sure you guys stay locked in. Smash that like button. You're tuned into the Week 2 pregame show, your Eagles pregame show featuring Coach Marcus from Pro Fan Talk and yours truly, Tone DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. Make sure you guys continue to smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to both channels. We are live. I repeat, we are live on both channels. Make sure you guys stay active. Hit the like button and make sure you are subscribed, right? If you are Raheem Morris in that defense, right? You're in the film room. You're watching the Eagles film from the Packers game in Brazil. What are you trying to take advantage of? What are you trying to take advantage of if you're Raheem Morris? What are you trying to neutralize? Where are you divvying up your eggs? What basket are you putting your eggs in?
That's the thing with Philly, man. They got so many weapons. So, okay. So it seems like everything is they're still trying to do a muddle rush to contain Jalen Hurts. So they try to get deep enough. They try to get as deep as he is, not too far, not too short. They want to be as deep as he is. So if he tries to step up in the pocket, they can shed their blocks and collapse the pocket. If he tries to go around, they can get outside and cut him off. So if you notice, when they get that muddle rush, they get to a certain depth and they just kind of stop. And they just stand there.
Yeah.
They don't overcommit. And when
Packers did a good job with that, by the way. They did a good job.
They did a very good job with that. Right. So the best way to get around that is for Jalen to just find a hole and just take off through the hole. Maybe they catch you, maybe they don't. But at worst, you get back to the line of scrimmage. At best, you break a tackle, and now you might get 10 to 15. So, but the muddle rush has been pretty good. So I can see them trying to implement like that. I don't know what the hell they're gonna do with Saquon. That's a mismatch waiting to happen. So you
a safety can't cover him.
But that's the thing. If a safety has to come up and cover him, that means you got a zone in the back that's open. Now you got to scheme it. You got to double move. You got to out and up. Do you put somebody in motion? So you got two people in the same place and you got your outside man with a running start, and then you just go outside, stretch the defense. Do you go play action? Like, what do you do? It's so many things that you can do that they're not worried. So that's a great question. How do you neutralize it? That's the beauty of what all of the weapons that we have. Because you got to get Saquon. Damn, there's Dallas Goedert. Okay, let's cover that. Damn, there's Devontae Smith. Damn, there's Saquon Barkley. And then we still got to worry about Jalen Hurts if all of that breaks down. The only thing I don't want the one thing I think that they will try to make Jalen Hurts do is scramble out to his right, because you saw them try to throw, you saw Jalen Hurts throw across his body a pick. So now they're thinking, okay, if we can force him to the right, he's more likely to make a mistake because he throws more interceptions when he's rolling out to his right. So they might try to make that happen, but they have to make that happen. That means, they got to get a coverage sack and nobody's open. So he's got to make, either run it or he try to make something happen with his legs. So possibly they could employ that. I don't know. We haven't seen Dallas Goedert get off. So I'm thinking they're not really worried about Dallas Goedert right now. So maybe you can sneak him in. I like what we did with Jalen Hurts being under center. I want to see more of that. I am a big proponent of our running back getting the ball going downhill, not in pistol, not in gun, but in ace formation. You 6 yards deep and your quarterback reverses out and sticks that hand out and get them linebackers moving. That's what we want. All we want to do is get them linebackers moving, because if they move, that means they're giving up the middle. And if they got your free safety, depending on what coverage, if they got to come up to support, that means something's open deep. That's the chess match. So there's a lot of different ways we can go. And, Kellen Moore is still opening up the book. He hasn't shown everything yet, far from it. But just based on what I saw against Green Bay, hopefully we ain't slipping and sliding like we did in Brazil, so we can get a good start.
Matter of fact, what's the weather like on the East Coast, Marcus?
I believe it's going to be a little bit windy tonight. I'm in South Jersey, so it looked like it was getting overcast, so I was like, it's going to be rain tonight, but I don't think it's supposed to rain. But it is. We are supposed to have some windy gusts. So what that means is let's get the ball in the end zone and not worried about field goals.
Final question for you before we get out of here, my man. I really appreciate you. It's always fun talking to you, my guy. You know how we get down. With everything that we said and broke down, both sides of the ball for the Philadelphia Eagles, give me your keys to the game for the offense, the Eagles offense, and give me your keys to the game for the Eagles defense.
Keys to the offense is get the ball to Dallas Goedert. I think using him today will offset a lot of that pressure that we are going to have because A.J. Brown is not there. So they're going to focus on Devontae Smith, and they're going to test Jahan Dotson. I would like to see Jahan Dotson get a catch early just to get him established. And it's like, we ain't skipped the beat. Next man up.
Let him know that let him know he's a threat. Understood.
Exactly. So, and on the defense, Jalen Carter got to eat. That's it. I expect Nakobe Dean to be as advertised. I expect Zach Bond to be advertised. I expect our secondary to play just like they did last week. Not as many mistakes because we done had a week to clean some of that stuff up. That's about it. I'm expecting our defensive line to dominate the line of scrimmage. And of course, don't let Bijan Robinson get a big play.
I love it, man. You guys, this has been our pregame show. You know the vibes, you know the energy. Now how we get down here. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to both of our channels. Please go subscribe to Pro Fan Talk. His channel is growing very fast. He's talking Eagles football. He's talking WNBA. He's talking He's talking Phillies. He's talking sports industry business, right? He's addressing the nuances and the intricacies of how the money's being moving around through all these different leagues. I mean, he just does a good job just giving you guys a well-rounded product there, Pro Fan Talk. And I really love what he does. I love talking to him. This is a relationship that I'm going to continue to nurture. This is my OG here, man. I appreciate you guys so much, man. Whenever my perspective is a little bit whenever my perspective is inflamed or a little impassioned, right? He's the guy I talk to to kind of just say, hey, all right, well, look at it like this, right?
Yeah, man.
Let's
pump the brakes.
Let's bring it down a little bit. He gives you that inside perspective. He played the game before on every single level you could think of. And I'm grateful to have this friendship here. So make sure you guys stay locked in. We appreciate y'all so much. Smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the show. Subscribe to Pro Fan Talk. Subscribe to Chalk Up Sports. Marcus, any final words before we get out of here, man? Any final hurrah for the people as they go into this matchup?
Man, let's just I want to see our Eagles for first home game this year. Take care of business. That's it. I don't want no silly plays, no silly penalties, and let's get out of here with a clean game, no injuries, nothing like that. So I just want the Eagles to do what we know they're capable of doing. That's them.
Yeah, I made the bold prediction, and it's a shame that this is bold, but I made the bold prediction that this Eagles team is going to leave this game with no turnovers.
Nice.
So that's my mindset. That's my mindset here. I think we've already seen the worst version of this Eagles team. I think this Eagles team can only get better. And that's how I feel about it. But nonetheless, you guys, we appreciate y'all so much. Again,
you got to
smash that like button. Ooh, I'm glad you said that. I did not give a score prediction at all. I'm so glad you said that. Because I know last week my score prediction was 31-23. I had us beating them by 8 points.
You were on it. You said it was going to be a high score game too.
Yeah, because you had it what last week?
I had like 24-17.
24-17, something like that. So you had us beating them by 7. I had us beating them by 8, but 31-23. We actually beat them 34-29. If I had to put a score on this one, I think the Philadelphia Eagles win this game. Give me 33-23. I think the Eagles win this game 33-23. I think they control it from beginning to end. And then, the Falcons, final drive or their final possession, whatever it may be, I think they put up maybe a touchdown or a field. I think the Eagles just control this game from beginning to end. So, yeah, I'm rolling with 33-23 Birds. 33-23 Birds. I like that score. What about you?
I'm going 30-17.
30-17.
Quinyon Mitchell gets a pick.
Okay.
And Atlanta misses a field goal.
I like that. Well, it's going to be a fun game, and I can't wait. And I can't wait to kick it with you next time we speak, my friend.
Yes, so, and as usual, I'm looking for my guy, Nakobe Dean. I want to see him ball out as usual. Sure. I am efforting to get Nakobe on the show. I'm efforting.
For sure, man. I can't wait for that one. I can't wait. That's gonna be dope, man. You already got the connect, so I can't wait until that conversation happens. Eagles fans, thank y'all. We appreciate y'all. Falcons fans, thank y'all. We appreciate y'all. Packers fans, I'm sorry, but it's all good though. We appreciate y'all. Smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Once again, subscribe to Pro Fan Talk. Subscribe to Pro Fan Talk. All you gotta do is go on YouTube and search Pro Fan Talk and go subscribe to Chalk It Up Sports. Where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. I've been your humble host, Tone DeShields II. He's Coach Marcus. And it's game day, baby. Let's get this done.
Go Birds.
We out of here.
Bye.